I am so jet lagged right now that I don't know which way is up. If I literally start to fall asleep mid-sentence, you know why. Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, hi, my name is Aimee, and for those of you who are returning, my name is still Aimee. First and foremost, I just want to apologise truly and deeply that I disappeared off the face of the earth for the last couple of weeks while I was in San Diego. In the whole time, like the 5,000 years, perhaps more, that I've been on YouTube, I've never taken a break like that, and it wasn't even planned. It wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened. And I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to leave you guys hanging. Like, I don't even know if anyone even really noticed. I mean, I beat myself up about this kind of thing. I'm like, I missed an upload, the world will end. But I don't know if anyone else even registered that that had happened. But I did want to apologize, and also thank you guys who were so supportive and so kind and so wonderful on the status that I posted, basically explaining that I was not dead, that I was just taking a little break, because your messages and your comments just made me really happy and I appreciate you. Also, another apology, because Cody and I had 100% planned to do a kind of get to know my boyfriend video while I was out in San Diego visiting him. You're gonna see whenever I finally get around to editing that vlog footage and uploading it, you will see nothing about that trip went to plan, and we just ran out of time, and so I apologize. I feel like he's such an enigma and I don't want him to be this like shadowy mystery man anymore. I just want you guys to know who he is. So I'm not intentionally hiding him away from you, please know that, but it is what it is. That really segues into the topic of today's video, which initially wasn't going to be the topic of today's video, but since I just got back from San Diego and I'm still like fighting off the jet lag and all the feels, this is just the video that seemed the most relevant to me and something that I just wanted to do. So today we are going to be talking long distance relationships. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about my relationship, how that happened, who is this mystery man, and kind of giving you some long distance relationship advice from what I have learned. I'd like to point out that this is not my first rodeo. I've actually had several long distance relationships, so I know my stuff. I know what works, I know what doesn't. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty chill. Maybe grab a snack. As you can see, every now and then I'm just leaning my kind of head on my hands, trying to keep myself upright because the jet lag is so real. But we're powering through. So as a lot of you guys know, especially if you were watching last year's Vlogmas, Cody and I started dating in December. Like, that's when we really like got it together and made it a thing. Like, it was really an on again off again kind of weird friend zone disaster for a long time, mostly because I knew that he was going to be leaving Bahrain in February, and I was like, then what is even the point? Why should we get together, get all in our fields, become attached to one another if you're gonna leave? And he was like, look, if it really works, we can do long distance. And that just seemed like the worst possible scenario to me. I wasn't interested in like willingly putting myself into that position, but he wore me down and he was just too adorable and I couldn't help myself, and so here we are. He left Bahrain in February, and last week or whenever it was that I was in San Diego, the time zones are killing me. What day is today? Is it still 2019? Whenever it was that I was in San Diego a couple of weeks ago, that was the first time that I'd actually seen him in 5 months. We're both in a situation where our location is kind of dictated by our jobs. Like, he had to leave Bahrain and go back to California because that's what his job wanted him to do. I am in Bahrain because that's where my job is, and so you know, that's why that is happening. So that's kind of like a little bit of an overview of my current relationship situation, because I know that it's been kind of ambiguous, and it's not because I'm keeping anything from you guys or I'm trying to be secretive. These kinds of things don't just naturally pop up in conversation when you're filming YouTube videos, you know? So with that said, and with that kind of backstory done, let's talk about some of my advice and tips for any of you guys who are in a long distance relationship or just wondering like, how the heck does that work? I tell you, it works with a lot of work and a lot of effort and tears. Maybe I'm being a little bit more melodramatic about it right now because I just finished being with him, and so I'm very emotional, and also the tiredness just makes me so grumpy. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of erring on the side of like, the world is ending, the sky is falling, but that's kind of like how I feel about it right now. But really and truly, it is possible. A lot of people think that long distance relationships cannot work categorically, that they are doomed to fail, and I do not believe that that is true, hence my tips and advice. The first thing I will say is that if you're going into a long distance relationship, like if you're going to do something that challenging and that draining emotionally, then it needs to be for someone that you truly love. Like, it can't just be a casual thing that you got on the side and you kind of like each other and you think like, yeah, hey, he's fine. Let's make this work long distance. It's not gonna work. Like, unless you are truly in love with that person, you see a future with that person, you want it to work more than anything, then guess what? It's not gonna work. If the commitment is not there and you just don't have this like true passionate desire for the other person and to like be with them in the long term, then like, why would you put yourself through that? Because it's not fun. And that's definitely something I've tried to kind of throw together in the past with long distance relationships, is being with someone who I'm like, yeah, I like this guy, but I didn't like love them. I didn't want to be with them ultimately. I knew that this relationship was not like my forever relationship. It was just my for right now relationship, and trying to put a lukewarm relationship to such a big test, it's just never gonna work. The next tip or piece of advice that I have is you really need to be able to trust each other if you're in a long distance relationship. And I mean, in any kind of relationship, you need to trust each other or it's just not going to work. But more so in a long distance relationship, because you're not there with the other person. Odds are you might not know the people that they are hanging out with. You might not know the places that they are going. You might go all day or even a few days, depending on your time zone situation, without speaking to them and knowing like, hey, what are you up to? And you just need to know in your heart, like 100%, that you trust that person and you're like, hey, go live your life. If you can't do that, it is gonna drive you insane, because you're gonna be sitting around at home like, I wonder what he's doing. It's just not a pleasant way to live your life. If you feel like their head might be turned in any way due to the fact that you are not there to give them the attention emotionally and physically that you would if you were together, if you feel like that might cause them to drift away to someone new, then that relationship is not going to work. And I actually have no idea if what I said just made any sense, because it felt like I was rambling. I know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you do too. It comes down to trust. Trust is good. My third tip for making a long distance relationship work, and I think that this is perhaps the biggest one, is knowing that you have an end game. Like, knowing that eventually you will be together. Because if you're just planning on having a long distance relationship forever and you're just gonna live apart constantly for the rest of your lives, kind of, what is the point? Obviously for everybody that's going to be different. It might be that you're only apart for like 6 months, which lucky you, because that's not that long. But also it could be that you're apart for years, which I am so sorry for you if that is your life, because that is really sad. But knowing that you have a plan and knowing that, oh, I only have, if you're like me and you literally have countdowns for everything on your phone, that you're like, oh, in 6 more months, we're gonna be together. Just having that plan and that end goal to look forward to and to count down to and to focus on is what's going to get you through. My fourth tip to having a successful long distance relationship is to have meaningful communication. So for instance, for the whole crossover time when both of us are awake, Cody and I are like texting, so we are having constant communication, but it's kind of, to an extent, that's superficial communication. Just like, oh hey, how are you? How's your day? Look at a picture of this cake that I'm eating. Like, it's not meaningful. It's nice to be able to chat to him and to just constantly feel like he's there, but it's super important to set aside time to have meaningful conversation. And that might be on the phone, it might be via text message if that's your thing, it might be on FaceTime. However it takes place is not necessarily important. It's just that you can sit down and like focus on each other and not be like, hey, I'm on FaceTime but I'm also like putting on my false eyelashes. Hey, I'm on FaceTime but I'm also driving to work, and that person only has like 50% of your attention. You want to be able to set aside time, maybe not every day because people have lives, but maybe like once a week at least, to say, okay, for this hour, for this 2 hours, for this half hour, whatever, we are going to sit down and we are going to just talk to each other, and that's all. And my last tip is going to sound probably completely ridiculous because it kind of is. It is to try and make the most of this situation. And I know that sounds insane because it's not exactly a fun place to be, and so it can be difficult to kind of think, okay, well, where is the silver lining in this? But I think the silver lining is that yes, it sucks, yes, you're not with them, yes, you have to like be third wheeling with your friends all the time, but ultimately it will make your relationship stronger because you don't take each other for granted and you've put in a lot of work. It just makes the relationship stronger. If you can get through that kind of challenge, then I think you can get through anything. Obviously, all of those tips and advice type things were pretty broad and general, just purely because everyone's relationship is different. You kind of have to generalize to a certain extent, but hopefully you guys found that helpful or interesting in some way. I tried my best with what I have energy-wise today, so I hope it was good for you. If you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe, do the things. If you guys are in a long distance relationship and you have any tips or advice, or you just want to like vent about how much it sucks, that's what the comments are for. Go ahead, let's chat about it because I have a lot of feelings. Get them out there. You get yours out there. I'll get mine out there. I need to go and drink some coffee, clearly. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much. I hope you are having a beautiful day, and remember that I love you. Bye.